Hey, it's Shames, and welcome to a special edition of AnyTube Digest. Never done this before. It's a reaction video. I've never like reacted to a video live, but this came. I was bored. I was still in bed, and I was boredly clicking on a Trash Taste highlight, and I was worried. I was actually concerned because it's like, oh, is Garn like it being harder to watch? Of like anime's getting harder to watch because it's like, oh, is it becoming like content and stuff like that? And the first 40 seconds was so. It's not that like in retrospect, you look at what they said, it's like it's only slightly wrong, but it's all stuff that was just like in it. So I just was like, I kind of want to react to it. I've never done this before, so I don't know how good this is going to turn out. For the record, I love Trash Taste, guys. I'm really excited and happy for them that they're going on this tour. I think that's really cool, and that like they're I don't know, they're just making the anime YouTube space that much bigger and collaborating with bigger content creators. I've loved all their interviews. That when they were in LA, they were interviewing like Pokimane and ProZD and Ludwig, and it was all really cool stuff. But I don't know about them talking about anime on in this platform. I don't know based on what I heard in just the first 40 seconds here. So let me just let's get on with that. Let's see what they. And I'm just gonna like kind of. I don't want this to be like a actually type of thing, but it might come off that way because there's gonna be some of these where I'm like, I don't know. I want to give feedback to some of this. I think it's interesting.
Is there a chart of like time versus sort of sexualization of anime?
No. that's a great
I genuinely
question.
think that like that's probably one of the tropes that kind of just helps, like one of the cheap shots you can take to help retain people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Funny, there's no chart, I don't think, but that would be really interesting. I know Beyond Ghibli in his Degenerate video kind of talked about the progression of it and how porn's been around since the ancient times. Like one of the first bits of Japanese animation, the very first hentai technically is like it locked in a museum, and no one, like only a few people have seen it. I don't remember the name of it, but you could technically chart it because there's certain watershed moments. You know, there's Harenchi Gakuen of with Go Nagai writing that for Weekly Shonen Jump being a significantly ecchi title, and that was a pretty boundary pushing title. Cream Lemon and Lolita being the first two hentai like straight up in an animated form. They're very early in the OVA boom, and the OVAs and stuff, and making independent stuff that didn't have to go on TV or in movies in movie theaters. That means you can make NC-17 or just X-rated porn, you know, animated porn, and there was a market for that they realized, and that's from like the 80s when the creation of VHS tapes and laser discs was you were able to make a living off of that, or at least some kind of business, and that's where the explosion of hentai really came from. But in terms of like sexualization in anime specifically, or like, you know, manga in general, of just like, you know, that's kind of been around, scattered here and there, and probably an even amount. You don't never, and it's only kind of exploded maybe because of the amount of anime that's been made, you know, that like proportion wise it seems maybe there's more. But yeah, I would say it's not like it's gotten worse recently. It's kind of always been like that, and it's been a thing. Definitely more so post like the 80s with creation of hentai, I would imagine. But you know, Space Battleship Yamato, the original Battleship Yamato, had a skirt flipping robot, so yeah, same thing, you know, happens.
But you know what's funny, actually? The guy who invented the ecchi genre in manga and anime.
The guy who invented
Go Nagai.
The guy,
I think he's
basically the guy
I think
who
he's
invented
about
like,
Go Nagai.
the kind of perversion in anime is the same guy who invented Mecha.
No, I mean, he's almost right. This is what I mean, where it's like he's talking about Go Nagai, who is the writer of Harenchi Gakuen, as well as Mazinger Z, which is what's considered to be known as the first mecha series with where the pilot is actually in the robot and piloting the robot from inside. But technically, the credit for giant robots would go to Mitsuteru Yokoyama, who created Tetsujin 28, and that's from the 60s. And the only difference there is that he's controlling it via remote control. And you also have Big X too by Tezuka, where like it's the same guy, but he just grows into a big guy, which is like an Ultraman type of thing, I guess. But I think it was supposed. I haven't seen it, but it's some sort of like military experiment type of thing. Anyway, it's like almost right. No, it's like, little things like that.
They kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, I actually
Come on.
believe Hideaki
I guess it's a
Anno
joke,
helped
but all right.
popularize the anime boob bounce. It was
Really?
Yeah.
literally called like the Gainax jiggle or
Yeah.
something.
Gainax is and they're referring to. I at first remember that was it's Gunbuster because of that one shot, which I'm pretty sure is animated by Kazuya Tsurumaki, and I don't know if you credit the director or you credit Tsurumaki or who do you I would say you credit the title and not necessarily Hideaki Anno did that. You know what I mean? But even then, even before Gunbuster, Gainax did Daikon 4, and that has the like that. So that shot, and that could be animated by Anno or somebody else. I don't know. But yeah, technically, I guess. But it's like
The Gainax bounce for a while.
Right.
It was one, I think it
But I
was
think
like one of his
Gunbuster.
earlier works. What's his other mecha work that he's done? Well,
Yeah.
that's before Evangelion.
Yeah.
Diebuster. I believe that had like a famous shot with like
please, I have. So this is where I stopped. This is where I stopped because I was just like, they're almost right, almost. But like, Diebuster's the sequel to Gunbuster. It came out after Evangelion, and Anno did not direct that. In fact, Tsurumaki directed it, which I have to look. I haven't done any. I'm gonna do all this off the top of my head, so it's fair because they're doing it off the top of their head, right? But I'm pretty sure Tsurumaki animated that. But then, yeah, that's before Evangelion. That's 2004. Anyway, fine. They're almost right. Sorry, I don't want to be like actually them, but it's just like.
yeah, he directed that as well.
It's like
didn't
120
direct
frames
that.
per second boob jiggle. It's just like everyone's like,
No, haha, but no,
ladies and gentlemen.
haha, but
You've
no.
probably seen the High School of the Dead one as well. So she shoots a gun and it like.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, and it goes.
I don't think I've seen that
Like
one.
jiggling and like Fire Force, like
Oh, yeah.
that just had sexualization in it for no fucking reason.
I mean, there's a lot of shows that are like that, where it's like, I thought I would enjoy the show because it kind of dealt in genres that I thought I would enjoy, and then it would just get side shafted by this random etchy shot. And I'm just
it
like,
feels like immature. It feels like
Yeah, and there's also a lot of hentai actually that was reminding me of Kite. Hearing about how the creators of that, they didn't want it to be a hentai, but that was how they could sell it. That was the only way that people would actually care about, and it's true, and that's how it ended up. Like a lot of people, I think it honestly would have still stood the test of time in terms of its animation and its people actually really like it. Kite, aside from all the sexual stuff, and I feel I heard from someone that the director considers the director's cut where like they took out all of that edgy and fanservice like hentai stuff. That's kind of the definitive like that's the true vision basically. But that's totally an argument to be made that they really put that in there for commercial gain because that's just the more popular titles are the ones that have that. But that you don't always want to assume the author of Fire Force might just really like that stuff. I'm sure, it's always the approach. It's always about the execution with that sort of thing. There's like sort of things like that in One Piece with like Sanji and Brook, like Brook's like, may I see your panties and stuff, but they never show the panties, and it's always just like that one statement and that's it. And there's not like inventing new ways to sexualize and objectify the characters or something. I guess I'm excusing One Piece. I kind of am. But, like, I find that there's nuance to these things. It's not just the existence of them automatically makes it bad. It should be the execution. Because there's some ecchi comedies that are hilarious. Like Golden Boy, right? I'm sure these guys might, if they've seen Golden Boy, they think that's awesome and hilarious. And that's some of the most ecchi stuff I've ever seen, So really it's all about the execution of these things. There's nuance to this stuff. Not that I'm a connoisseur of it, really. Like Hartfigan or something. I'm sure he could have a better better conversation about it.
I would argue that no one should take Darling in the Franxx
No.
seriously.
Well, no one took it seriously.
Yeah.
Not even the creators of the show took that seriously.
I hate when he assumes stuff like that. Don't assume stuff like that. Just don't say that. It's like, why would, I don't know, just assuming creator intent, you know, unless there was an interview or something, but I'm not expecting you to pull it out, but I'm pretty sure Joey's just joking. But still, I'm not a fan of that kind of. But the thing, right, I imagine what makes Trash Chase so popular is that there's so many of the conversations they're having that feel like our own conversations, you know. They feel like, you know, the conversations you'd have with your friends, and the kind of things that the anime community is probably talking amongst themselves all the time. So this is something that's kind of relatable in that way. But I would just like to push against that sort of thing of just like that sort of thing, assuming the things of creators is always like a dangerous route, in my opinion.
It's the moaning though. It's the moaning when they like lock in, like.
It's like, I'm reloading my girl.
I remember when I first watched Darling in the Franxx and they revealed like the piloting system in like episode 2 or 3, and I just fucking burst out laughing. I'm like, no, they did not do this. They
didn't have to though. Like, why?
Well, you're talking about it, right? It's a memorable system, especially the orientation of, you know, like a male to female pilot system has been a thing, actually. Like, I forget the name of it, but I remember reading it in the anime encyclopedia that there was, and it was kind of a big deal that like the mecha was piloted by both a guy and a girl, because girl pilots just wasn't really a thing. There was a thing in Mazinger Z, but it was always very separate, right? But like together, that was interesting. At least when I was reading about that title. I forget the title. I'm so sorry. Again, off the top of my head. But it's clearly to, like, you know, get attention. You know what I mean? And I think they realized that, but like, it's not necessary. But it's like, I mean, you probably wouldn't have talked about it otherwise, you know? But people could argue, oh, there's some thematic reasons and stuff like that. It is supposed to look like that. But I'm not going to make those arguments because, again, I haven't seen Franxx.
Okay, to be fair, that's Trigger, and they're like, they're just
Trigger never take themselves seriously.
It's weird talking to someone.
Come on. Again, I mean, have you seen Gridman? I think Gridman took itself pretty seriously. I mean, I get it with like their first work being Inferno Cop, and I think it's the same. I could be wrong about this, but I think it's the same director as Inferno Cop that did Gridman. But like that and Dynazenon, like they were pretty serious, like really good titles. Anyway, I don't know. I get it, like the attitude of Trigger and stuff like that, but no, that like whatever. But also that that might not have been Trigger's call. It could have been A1 Pictures' call. You don't want to forget that this is a co-production.
It's weird talking to someone who obviously has consumed like a lot of old anime versus like I've seen like the progression of, I guess, the fan service and sexualization just kind of like having like going from there to there.
Yeah.
Because it's Darling in the Franxx was made by Studio Trigger, and after
and
Kill
A1
la Kill,
Pictures.
have you seen or heard of Kill la Kill?
I think so. Is that like the talking sure?
Talking sure.
The one with the talking clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the less clothes.
Yeah, you got it. I felt like after they made that Darling in the Franxx just felt like a step down in terms of the fans.
But again, this is the generalization of studios and not the people. Imaishi, to my knowledge, hasn't worked on Darling in the Franxx. He's taking all that from anime history. Kill la Kill, as well as Gurren Lagann, as you know, it's taking from all sorts of older stuff. Cutie Honey, Kekko Kamen, like Go Nagai. Whatever Imaishi has done, Go Nagai has done it way harder. You don't underestimate some of the depths that anime has taken in the past. You know.
Which is weird to say that it kind of like, I guess, desensitized a lot of anime fans because
yet isn't it weird that we are openly criticizing Darling in the Franxx for being sexual, but then when you go over to Kill la Kill, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
It depends on the show. It
depends on the show. It's the execution. It's all about the execution of it, right? There's other elements that make it enticing and appealing and exciting. And also, or it's a really fine line, and it's a case by it's like I think what Connor's about to say. It's a show by show basis for sure.
Kill la Kill never was meant to be serious, and neither was Darling in the Franxx.
So Kill la Kill was never meant to be serious. I mean, I haven't seen Kill la Kill, but come on, don't. Why do would assume shows like that. The ones that you gotta be like, oh, they didn't take this seriously, were like actual parodies, like Narumi Daikon Brothers. I would argue that show doesn't really take itself seriously. But my patrons who experienced that group watch, that is one of the shows of all time. But I think it works by that guy, Watanabe. That's more like not taking itself seriously. But I don't know. Just because it's a comedy or like makes an outlandish choice, it suddenly doesn't take itself seriously? I don't know. That's tough to me. There's got to be more to it than that, I guess.
There's other shows where you're trying to get me invested in this world and characters in a very serious way, and trying to get me to feel like oh, I'm so sympathetic toward that character, and then they start groping each other. And then like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What the fuck
Right.
is that?
Yeah.
Kill a kill.
Can you give some examples, Connor? I don't want to like, but that's what I mean when sometimes when people do this, they invent an anime in their head, and it's better when they bring up examples. I like that they're talking about Darling in the Franxx in concrete terms. I like that they're bringing up Kill la Kill in concrete terms. You know what I mean? This is just general pitfalls of anime discussion, I think, where you're just kind of making up an anime and and it's like, yeah, like that show. What show? Explain.
Kill la Kill was like, it made a little bit more sense.
Yeah, it did.
Did you ever watch Seven Deadly Sins?
Yeah. Oh, geez.
There you go. There you go. Wait, what are you talking about? There it
Just
is.
start groping
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
randomly.
Is that in the manga as well? That
Yes.
version?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just the show. It is-
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any examples of an anime adaptation becoming significantly more more fan service and like sexual than the manga. That would be really interesting, I think, because I think what normally happens is the manga is more sexual than the anime because publishing rules and like regulations are, I'm going to make a generalization and this could be wrong, seem a little less stringent than TV, right? Or even OVAs. Maybe even obviously not OVAs because there is no regulation pretty much in OVAs in the OVA market. But there's a lot of doujinshi and stuff that go way hard. You know what I mean? Again, I don't want to generalize doujinshi as all sexual. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they're like, in the broad context of like anime and manga, I would say that they're both fairly sexual. And not that he's making that argument or anything, but just the interesting thing to think about, just like, did the anime add all that? I don't think so. Unless it, I don't know. Especially because I'm pretty sure it's a straight adaptation. I didn't hear anything otherwise.
I'm trying to think of the first anime I ever watched. Like I feel like I have like, does Pokemon count?
Yeah.
But is that,
Yeah, it counts. I'm sorry. I don't need to posit that, but it's yes, it counts.
You watched Death Note?
I started watching it.
You didn't like it?
Can I say it's crap or people get mad? at me?
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
you've
not.
seen the
Explain
subreddit.
yourself.
The subreddit. I am very smart.
Okay.
That's
okay.
what it felt like.
No.
Yeah. It was like, no, I'm gonna do this.
I thought it was
I'm
really
gonna do
good.
this.
I mean, the consensus is that it's pretty good.
I thought it was quite intelligent, to be
I
honest.
got through, I don't know, maybe like 6 episodes or something, and it just felt like I'm
trying
Wait,
to.
how old were you when you found it? I feel like
a couple years ago.
Because I feel like if you're under 21, for some reason,
No.
it appeals to that side
Yeah,
of the brain.
I think that's the kind of people
I want
that
to be
are
the main
on-
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why I was in Shonen.
I mean, people still like Death Note, and they're over 21. And that's not nostalgia either. Like, the Anime Encyclopedia had a pretty positive review of Death Note, and they were both in their 40s, you know? I don't know. It's all about maybe the mood that you're in, right? Or maybe you could watch it with some people that really like it, and you could, I don't know. I think there's environments that they could be factored in, but no, it's the consensus. I think what they're saying here about the consensus is fair. It's like, oh, no, a lot of people liked it, but it's okay if you don't like it. Oh, it's fine if you don't like it. I certainly have my didn't like it personal things, but like saying it's crap, you know what I mean? It's like,
Steins Gate.
Steins Gate.
Steins Gate. I like that a lot.
Steins Gate's
I
great.
mean, that's one of the like classics.
I started watching it years ago. I think I got like one episode in because it's just I feel like every one of these websites does a bad job like conveying what it is. And it's hard to find reviews.
Honestly,
for if I'm gonna like it.
That's one of those shows where I think it's just best to just click episode one.
Go in blind.
I stopped watching it though years ago. So I got episode one.
To be fair,
I
the
thought it was too
first-
stupid or slow or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like there's not a trustworthy source for me of knowing if I'm gonna like something.
To be fair, the
ask
first
this guy.
10, yeah.
I will.
He also probably just doesn't know what Mal and Kitsu are. You know, there's a lot of reviews and stuff. You really want to know like a consensus thing. A lot of people have reviewed it. If you really want to read reviews, but I feel like it depends on what you've watched, I guess, and you can make judgment calls for yourself. I usually hear about certain consensus, and they're not like reviews, but I hear certain titles come up all the time, and seeing the visuals and stuff, I don't even look at what they're about. I literally just kind of hear the consensus of the show, and I'm just like, that sounds interesting. Or I happen to know something about the director and things like that. But like, yeah, so steer him to like Mao Kitsu AniList or something, and that way he can actually find the things that he actually might enjoy. Because it might also be a skill issue. I still think they deserve the attention and size that they've gotten. I'm not like disparaging them in that way, but I'm hoping that they can be, I don't know. It's hard to be, I want to be more responsible. Like, what do? You just dive into this stuff more. But I can tell that their interests are growing much broader. They each have, a growing interest in video games. Joey has a huge passion for music and other things, and I have different passions as well. I'm not saying you need to be just anime in order to, be properly qualified or something. But I'm hoping that they can, not just rest on their laurels of just like, I know anime, I've seen enough, right? Constantly still trying to explore it and refine the taste, and no, it'll never not be trash, right? As is us all, but just keeping engaged. I think there's plenty of fans that can kind of like fall off, and that's fine. It happens, and they get more as long as they're happy and they do the stuff that they're passionate about. That's what's most important. But it's easy when you run aground basically, and that can be difficult.
I can't think of like another modern sci-fi show that's hooked me as much as Psycho Pass has. It's
What about not Bokurano? Have you seen Bokurano?
Oh, yeah, you'd like that.
No.
Why are they I think they do Bokurano every goddamn time. They mention Bokurano all the damn time. That would be, but be one of my things of I just like how William doesn't like Death Note. I not watched Bokurano this year. I was not a fan. Oh well.
Yeah, you'd like that.
No.
I love that one too.
That's Mecha.
I always recommend that one.
That's
yeah.
Mecha that doesn't have a whole lot of politics to it.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
also psychological, so you might like that one as well. We've talked.
Oh, I think this isn't part of this clip, but I guess I saw Ember. There's like, I hate politics in my Mecha series. 2 seconds later, I love Gundam. I think it's not that you don't like politics. It's I didn't get his full take. Obviously, it's probably somewhere in this big podcast. I'm not going to really go look for it, but that's kind of hand in hand with a lot of them, unless you want like super robots. Not that super robots can also have political stuff too, but like again, I think it just depends on the execution. I don't think you want to say like, oh, all sexual fan service is bad, or all government politics stuff in my mecha is bad. You don't want to be generalizing an entire swath of shows, especially the vast majority of them you haven't seen. And a lot of us haven't seen the vast majority of them, right? But then you don't want to generalize in one way or the other with this sort of stuff. It depends on his tolerance, I suppose. But that's just a weird tolerance. It's like, I like Gundam, but I don't like military in politics in my mecha.
Talked about that a few times.
It's really like fucked up.
Huh?
This
No, I like
is
that,
just what anime would William Osmond like?
I'm okay with fucked up. I sat through Darling in the Franxx and I hated it.
That's a different kind of fucked
I
up.
hated it the whole time.
That's a different kind of fucked
Yeah.
up. That's
not fucked up. That's just what the fuck.
that's just Trigger going. How can we make everything a sexual innuendo?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just make an entire show and just make it like one big sex joke.
What happened to like steering wheels and like joysticks? That's all. I want my robots to have.
They did the steering wheels and joysticks for like 40 years. You got to do something different that make you stand out. And here you are talking about it. It worked. Anyway, I think that's the end of the clip pretty much. Oh, well, that was fun. I don't know how additive valuable that was or interesting or whatever. If you want to see me do it again or something, I don't know. But I enjoyed that. I always like listening to Fast Chased. It's just sometimes, man, sometimes they really get you on some of these, man. But yeah, good time. Anyway, I have the digest coming up for the end of the month. I got to start watching those videos, but I got other stuff to do too. Anyway, I hope to see you this month's digest. Yo, peace.